Dr. Girish has conducted several hundreds of workshops for school teachers, leaders, and parents. Dr. Girish, a warm welcome to you.
Oh, welcome. Thank you. It's a great honor and privilege.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we begin. And Rohan, I'd like to draw your expertise in first.
Sure.
The COVID-19 pandemic has forced the closure of K-12 educations now for over 2 months. And educators worldwide are confronted perhaps the greatest disruption in education since the Spanish flu of 1918. And to the educators and to the educators community's credit, they have responded innovatively to this challenge by moving the physical classroom into the virtual classroom and ensuring that teaching learning of children continues. But 2 months down the line, the shift from the physical classroom to virtual classroom has opened up a Pandora's box. For schools, teachers, and parents, there's lack of internet connectivity, fears about children's excessive screen time, classroom management, as also parental involvement in this entire virtual experience. So, from an educator's perspective, Rohan, I'd like you to share your insights on what do you think are the major challenges of online education, and what, according to you, is the good, bad, and ugly of online education?
Can you repeat the last part of the question, please?
I said, what is the good, bad, and ugly of online education according to you from an educator's perspective?
Okay. Coming to the first part of the question, that is the challenges. I could say the first challenge is the mindset, because challenges are actually perceived challenges and then there are the actual challenges. So once the perceived challenges are there, where the school decides or that it is not possible for us to do anything, this is too much of work and will not be able to do it, then it's over. If the teacher decides I am not capable of doing this, then it's over. If the parent decides this is all humbug, then it's over, because we don't have a cure for perceived problems. As far as the actual challenges are concerned, they are many, but there are also solutions. So I would say rate the most important of these actual challenges is the availability of devices. That is one of the main challenges that is faced by the parents, that multiple devices be required because more than one children, or maybe the economic scenario at the house where they will not have a device like a computer or a laptop which is very comfortable to attend an online class on. And these kinds of issues which are there, then we have got the bandwidth issue. That is a major problem across the city, and it is a major problem in the distant suburbs. Suburbs are somewhat better. So this is one of the major issue which is there. Next, which I can say, is the knowledge of the software which is there. There are multiple softwares which are being used, and when we come across very new with these kind of software, there are so many options available that it becomes very difficult to exactly pinpoint problems, where the problem is occurring. So this is like we had a problem that how do we run a video on Google Class Meet. So we had to experiment many number of times, because sometimes it used to work and sometimes it won't work. So we don't know why it happens like that. So this software, everybody, it is a learning experience. So that is another major issue which is there, where there are so many options available and very little time to understand all of them. Then we have the problem of pranks, being the children who are more adept at technology than the teachers and the schools. So there are a lot of plugins available. There are a lot of softwares available where they can override the teacher. So that is another major challenge which is there. Then we have the actual worry of the parents, where there are multiple WhatsApp messages and going around, where people are talking about the mental health of the child, the eyesight problem of the child, screen time, which are all issues which are there. So these are major issues, but as I said, these issues somehow can be taken care of if we are able to uh, take care of the mindset issue. Because I have seen a lot of small schools in Mumbai, Malad, where I am very closely connected with them. They have come out with various solutions. It may not be a very ideal solution. Ideal classroom may be very different, but there are solutions. Something is going on. So they understand that this is a temporary phase. It is not the norm for the rest of your life. And the whole issue is that some kind of education goes on. So there may be someone who will do very well, some who may not do very well. But the child is getting some kind of information, some kind of knowledge where things can go on. So this is how I would pursue the first part. I think we will come to the let us see the listen to the other panelists. This is my point of view, and after
All
that
right,
we'll
Rohan,
come to
thank you.
the bad and the ugly part later on.
We will discuss that
Yeah.
over the course of the 1 hour. Pallavi, let me draw you in, Pallavi. Uh, Parents are emerging as a major stakeholder in this whole online education process. And there's a lot of anxiety and fear on part of parents about, that the children's academic learning is getting disrupted and online education may not be a good substitute. And they also fears about excessive screen time, cybersecurity. From a parent's perspective, what are the major fears and apprehensions of online education?
Thanks, Soumya. And I think great points by Rohan. I think that's a great starting point for our discussion today. So I think, first of all, what is happening around us is unprecedented. And I think, for one, I am so impressed with the way the world has just jumped onto this. So, be it the educating, the management of institutions, be it teachers, be it students, parents, first and foremost for getting onto this with whatever cribs and all kinds of, murmurs and grumbles happening. The fact is, it is being done, and the ball has been set rolling, right? So I think one of the recognitions that we all have right now is, A, we don't have a choice, right? So just today, I read in the paper, there has been a there's a 6-phase plan of opening up the schools, grade 11 and 12, all the way to kindergarten in 6 phases. But, as a parent and as somebody who represents the parenting community with my, exposure to parents, every Friday, I talk to 3,000-4,000 parents. Even if somebody opens the school, I don't think parents are in any frame of mind to send their children. They are far happier trying to figure out the current system and have them safe and secure in their homes. I think what's becoming difficult is managing the variety of age groups when we say school-going children, right? Because the age group kind of defines the adaptability and the capability to understand the current context. So if I really break it down into 3 parts, so if you talk about children above the age of 11 or 12, all the way above, to grade 12, and even the university students, they kind of now understand that their education is their responsibility. They know how to handle basic features on the technology platforms. They know how to mute, they know how to unmute, they know how to share, they know how to submit assignments. So I think parents of those age groups are definitely finding it a boon, because let's kind of face it, this year might go as a lockdown year, right? We're optimistic. We're talking September, October, but given the way it is, it could very well be January or February, in which case it is a whole year, which nobody wants to write off, right? Nobody wants to say that the kids are going to repeat that academic year. So kids in grade 8 are going to turn up in grade 10 in Feb if this lockdown situation continues. So I think parents understand that. And for the older children, it is working well. What happens with the younger ones, right? So when you're talking about your kindergartners, when you're talking about, so I won't even talk about primary school kids. I'll come to your kindergartners. Don't even understand why they need all of this, because their education is your headache. They don't care. The kindergartners, all the way even to grade 1 or 2, really find this, they're like, what is the fuss all about? We'd rather watch Peppa Pig on TV. The teacher, poor thing, the teacher is trying, but the younger ones don't really understand what the fuss is about. And the primary school kids, grade 2 to grade 5, I think they're reluctant, but they are understanding, they are learning, they look forward to meeting their teacher. It is a new face compared to the parents they've been locked in with for the last 3 months. They're getting to interact with their friends on screen, which is all great. So I think it's very unfair for us to write it off, especially when nobody has a choice in this condition. And there are all based education. The child is not losing touch, and given that there might be a 6 to 8 system as we knew it, in the new normal, this is helping you stay on track. And B, there is a lot of positive to technology based education if used in the right way. So the entire multisensorial experience that, why do you have kids playing puzzles online? There's a jigsaw available offline, but they will still prefer doing it online. That's because when you have the exciting sounds, the colors, there are fantastic apps for learning. So all of this create a great multisensorial experience. The challenge for parents everywhere is, the younger ones trying to log in and log out, submit their homework, try to wake them up, get them into the schedule. That's the challenge. And screen time is definitely a challenge. And I think during the rest of the discussion, I'll probably share what thoughts I have on how we can reduce screen time. But I think for starters, this is what I'd like to begin with.
All right, great, Pallavi. Thank you. We'll come back to some of the points that you discussed. Dr. Girish, now I'd like to draw you in. Online education is here to stay. It's an imperative. Unless there's, we discover a vaccine or the numbers come down drastically, and parents are willing. A lot of parents are still unwilling to send their children to school, even in the phased reopening plan which is being submitted. There's a lot of opposition to that. So, Dr. Girish, I'd like to ask you, how is remote online teaching with no human interaction whatsoever affecting children's and teachers' physical and mental well-being?
So, I think if you would have had a same type of online education session 6 months back, we would have been the odd outliers out. Today, it has become a kind of a norm. Like, all of us are talking about online. We are all talking because that's become the new normal. I mean, we are in a generation where children learn to scroll before they learn to crawl. I always say this, they learn to scroll before they learn to crawl. So this is the kind of a generation we are coming into. And my take on that generation is as usual. I'd always tell this to all of y'all. 30% of children, always 30% of children have in some format got into a digital addiction much before even the lockdown. Much before the lockdown itself, they are very, very addicted to digital. So now let's look at the whole impact it is having. Definitely this lockdown has had a lot of impact. And the good sides they have already spoken about. Sir also spoke very well. But let me talk about another not so good side. Two things I see. One is the physical strain on the eye. Now, when you look at a kindergarten child or a child of first, second, third standard, when they start focusing on a computer, their eyes are actually focused. So they have narrow vision. It starts to happen. Now, more and more vision, the narrow starts to happen. You start developing squint eyes. Now, squint eyes is very, very dangerous as far as children goes because it's a narrow focus. Second, 70% of the people in every survey you do say that the children are doing online education on mobile phones. Now, what happens in a mobile phone? When you do a screen sharing on a mobile phone, the screen takes the entire thing and the teacher takes a small thing. So if my dad has a small cell phone, I'm straining into that small cell phone to learn that small this thing. And the second part of the same thing is then you was off the camera. Now, what happens when you off the camera? Now, it's a temptation for the child to see other things when they off the camera, So they know they can go in and chat, they could go do it in Instagram, they do on Facebooking, they start doing other activities. To be simple to tell you, I would like to talk about a couple of issues. One, there was a PIL that was filed in Chennai High Court saying that we need to stop online education. And why they came that was the mother walked suddenly into the class and pressed the screen. The child was watching something pornographic. Now, the mother presumed it was the school that was doing, but it was apparently the child that was doing. So she filed a case by saying that, yes, we should be very careful, because what has happened is many parents have started to work now. So now the laptop and the computer is fully on the sole disclosure of the child. So because of which the child starts to, get addicted to whichever site he and his friends want to be. The second thing I'd like to say is about another case that happened recently. The father got a bill by saying that his credit card has been swiped in a city which is 200 kilometers away from Chennai. Okay. Father is stunned. So he goes up and calls cyber security and the credit card and says it's credit card fraud. After that, what they realized? The boy who was on the phone, he was giving the father's credit card password to his friend who was swiping it on an online platform. And the OTP was coming on the phone, and this boy was telling the OTP and deleting the message that comes to the phone. So this is the kind of way sometimes when you don't monitor children and you don't educate children on online etiquette, this becomes a very, very serious issue. Another thing that I want to say is definitely online is really good, but there is also that, today what I would say in India is happening is forced online education, forced. That is, there is no other choice, like how beautifully Pallavi ma'am put that people are going online. Now, what has happened because of this? There are a lot of consequences of this. There are a lot of complaints coming in the helpline of strangers coming and stalking the children. Strangers sending video messages to the children. The strangers sending, for example, like I'll tell you a real life story what happened. This girl was on online class, and the online class started. Within 3 weeks, she started getting anonymous calls on her phone. And she really didn't know how it was. Then she went to her parents and she told her parents, and the parents, tried to trace them and all. And what they found out was in her online class, they had this video camera they were on. So she was on a video camera. Another girl's brother saw her. He liked her. Through his sister, he got the phone number of the girl, and he and his friends started stalking her. So now these are things that small things. So I think one of the things that is lacking right now is digital etiquette. I call that digital etiquette. Another point that I would like to raise over here is, many parents, especially in a conservative place like South India, they're very strict about boy talk to girl, other than the school environment. Now, what has happened is, because the phone is now fully with the child and the mother has to do cooking or something, nobody is, there. The child is keeping the Zoom on. He's going on, she or she is going on the other platform and chatting on Facebook, chatting on WhatsApp, and the parents are not able to monitor. Now, suddenly the mother comes in and they immediately change the site. All these small stuff. And then one other thing that I've also seen a lot is camera hacking. Now, camera hacking is a very, very, very dangerous phenomenon where the child's camera is hacked by somebody else, or the child hacks the camera. Now, say, for example, I'm seeing Sumaya sitting and shaking like this. So correctly, that shaking photo has been taken and that has been put on the camera, and the child is doing everything else, but it's actually the child is like as though listening to a class. He's only hearing the audio of the class, but the video is actually running in loop. So this has happened in many places that I have found out. And another thing is deep fakes is happening. Deep fakes is really viral now. What has happened? I'll tell you, this happened in a Chennai school recently. The teacher was taking the class. The couple of students started taking the picture of the teacher with memes around it. And they put those pictures onto viral platforms, and it went viral all across Chennai city. And the school owners and the management had to conduct an inquiry, and they're still not able to trace which boy did it. So that is called deep fakes. That is, you take a picture, and then you circulate it among for gain. So these are certain things that is happening. Another one is online games. Online games were something all of you know about PUBG. I think even Narendra Modi mentioned about PUBG in one of his talks. Now today, the children are putting online and they are playing PUBG on the parallel this thing. So this is also something that I have seen. And another thing I've also seen is social trolling. Social trolling and social stalking by people who are friends of the other people on online. So, some other people are there. I look at someone, I'm saying, who's this teacher? And then they start trolling them. And, so what I truly and wholly believe is that in online education, the etiquette part has to be done, for all of these things, the etiquette part, how to use it. In fact, the strain in the eye. We had a child, I think that was 4 months back. The child is 5.5 years old. The child has developed a squint. The child's eye has just fixed like this as a squint. And the reason for the squint, they said, was the cell phone. Now, what has happened? The cell phone display is very, very small. So because of the small display, the child puts the display very, very close. Now, when the child puts the display very, very close, the eye focus has not happened. Now, because of which, what happens? That the eye starts to stagnate at that place and the muscles start to paralyze. So it's very, very sad. And I think NIMANS has come out with a thing by saying that preschoolers should not do online courses and online things. I think NIMANS has come out with a whole statutory body thing, and I think Karnataka government has also started to implement it. So I think these are some of the issues. And also another thing, I would feel that the social emotional connect is not there. Many teachers are taking online classes as though they take regular classes. See, online is different, regular is different. Now, if you use the regular format, there is no engagement in an online setup. So what happens? The boredom sets in. Now, say, for example, a child in primary, he's comparing the online classes to what he sees in YouTube and other areas. So the comparison is with YouTube. So he's looking at YouTube and like, oh, is my teacher as interesting as that? In fact, many children are coming and telling me, why should I join online classes? Because I paid for offline classes. Might as well I go do it in some other online platforms which are more interesting, like a Byju's or something, rather than my school online platform, which is very boring. So I think that is one area that I really feel that, we need to really bring awareness, that the teachers also need to have that awareness. It is not the same offline class that they can do in front of a camera in an online class, because online class has different metrics, different things that they need to do, different engagement strategies that they need to do to engage the kids. And the last but not the least, I really feel that, the online classes have started 1 month. I'm getting, in the last 2 to 3 weeks, I'm getting hundreds of calls from students, parents saying that the children is complaining of fatigue in online class. 6 hours looking in the camera, looking at the phone, 6 hours looking at the laptop. Fatigue has started to set in. See, now look at a child in the primary, first, second, third. They're learning the fundamentals of mathematics. Now, when they're learning the fundamentals of mathematics on an online platform, and if they get bored and there is a frustration and a fear associated with it, then what happens? They will not be able to communicate those online, that frustration will continue when it goes to offline also. So these have been some of the things that I as a psychiatrist have been handling, because considering we work with around close to 70 schools where I partner with and work with, and I do a couple of webinars every day. So I kind of got, these are the kind of the major issues that I think that children are facing, and also teachers are facing, very difficult, especially with this incident of stalking and deep phishing. Oh, that was a very big issue among a lot of Chennai schools that happened recently.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yes, Dr. Girish, we're going to come back to some of the points which you raised, particularly about how parents can protect children online and how we can safeguard them. Later on in the discussion, I'm going to come back to you for some of your solutions. Rohan, I'd like to draw you in again now.
Sure.
Rohan?
I am there. I cannot actually hear you, so I'm moving nearest to the speaker.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, somewhat better.
I think, Sumaya, your voice is very low.
Yeah,
my voice is low.
Listen, hear you.
Okay. Can you all hear me better now?
Yeah, I
think. Is it better?
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Rohan, I think Dr. Girish also pointed out about how teachers need to come up with better digital pedagogies to engage children better. Because I know for teachers also, this has hit them out of the blue. They had to suddenly adapt themselves to a completely new online medium. And plus, like Dr. Girish has highlighted, there are also many instances now of teachers being bullied. and classroom management, discipline has become a big challenge. So, how has this hit a teacher's morale? And what can be done? Because teachers seem to be the linchpin here, not only of engaging children, as also as maintaining classroom discipline in a virtual environment, which brings into focus teacher training. So, I'd like your comment on this issue, how this could be handled better.
I completely agree with the doctor that it is issue with the teachers training to understand that online teaching is not the same as offline teaching. The kind of engagement that you will have to do to ensure that the children are interested in what the teacher is doing is going to be completely different. And for that, what I feel is that the way the whole classroom is designed, a teacher has the knowledge basically. So in an offline class, the teacher can just enter a class and engage with the children, and she will remain engaged even if she is not well prepared. But in an online class, however intelligent you are, however good you are, you have to be thoroughly prepared. If you had half an hour preparation for an offline or the face-to-face classroom, here for that you will require at least a couple of hours of training, of preparation. So it is not only your voice, as Dr. Kannan was telling, it is what you see on the screen. Even if I don't see my teacher, if the teacher is able to engage by way of keep seeing that whatever is showing online, whatever the teacher is sharing online, if that is engaging, the child discipline issues will be. I am agreeing with Dr. Kannan that it is going to be not going to end with you, that it is not going to be easy. Today, the schools have, as far as Bombay is concerned, it has just started. So that initial euphoria is there and children are very, very interested and all those things. But those will die down. Then the question will come once that initial thing is over, then it will actually come down to how engaging you are to maintain that discipline. And discipline only can be maintained like that. You may shout, you may have some way of you can finding out who did the mischief and then who is not following the instructions, and maybe there are various ways of handling it, and then maybe stop that person from coming to the class, block him for a few days. So all these things can be done as a coercive measure, but it cannot work long term. For working long term, it has to be the internal discipline of the child and the engagement of the teacher, both going together. As Dr. Kannan very clear, the etiquettes are important. That if the etiquettes go and your engagement is good, the discipline problem will be limited. Otherwise, we are going to face this issue and it is not going to be an easy task. As I said, you got only one. Here in the classroom, the teacher is to say, get out of my class. So now, what are you going to say? Well, I am already out of your class. So child has got no fear as such. What are you going to do to me? So that is the issue which is there. So that kind of disciplining cannot work. It has to be engagement. And for that, the preparation. If the teacher is well prepared, what is she going to speak? What is the thing that is going to come on her screen? Which question is going to be put to which child? Unless you make it interactive, a child will get into a more teacher boli ja rahi hai, teacher is going to keep on speaking for half an hour, I may as well go to sleep for some time. But if you keep the child engaged, you keep on asking the child certain questions, different children, different questions. Even we have told them to ask, even if it is a very, very simple question, which you would normally say that these are lower order thinking skills, don't ask these children all these questions in a normal classroom. But here we have told the teachers to go ahead. Just ask some questions so that the child knows that my turn may come up suddenly. So there is certain kind of discipline that has to be built in the beginning, like putting up the audio to putting up the video. So we get very ensure that there is one more teacher in the class to ensure that this kind of discipline is going on. So till that etiquettes come naturally and they understand that if I do this, the whole class is disturbed. Then in that case, once that comes, I think it will go. As far as discipline is concerned, I don't see any other way of doing it except keeping them thoroughly engaged. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rohan. Pallavi, I'd like your comment on, parents. The feedback I'm getting from a lot of schools and institutions is that parents are very worried.
Sumya,
about
can you speak a little
Sumya,
louder?
Sumya, please have your
Can't
mouth,
hear
please.
you. Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Pallavi, I'd like your comment on, what you think about some parents. I hear from schools and educational institutions that parents are driving schools to increase the number of online classes because they're very scared about their children not completing the syllabus, about their children missing out. So there's also a lot of pressure from parents to increase the online quotient, so that they believe and they think that children learn more. So what's your feedback and perspective on this?
So I think it's very, very divided. There are parents of all kinds today, and I think that's because they've been kind of also pushed to the wall. Parents who were just parents are also now facilitators of learning at home. They're also the entertainers. They're also, the friends. Parents are doing too many things for children, which they were never used to. And given that, I think, there's a lot of opinion on what they think schooling should be, right? So there is one segment of parents who contrary to what you are saying, who actually say, you know what, just tell us what needs to be done, especially for the younger classes till middle school. Just give us the assignments, we'll teach the kids. It's simpler than logging them on. We'll get the assignments done, we'll submit it once a week. There is that entire segment. In fact, there is an entire segment who says, there's no value in this. We don't even want to pay tuition fees. I'm sure you've seen the entire fees debate, which has been playing out for the last 2 months, where, they say this is such minimal value being added to us, we might as well not pay it, which is what I think pushed governments to, cut back on all the other non-essential, what they would deem as non-essential fees, and just stick to the tuition fees. So that's the entire segment of parents who think there is not too much value coming in. So, we might as well not pay that, and we'll handle their education on their own. Till they're in the junior classes, parents are not even too stressed about what would be the academic loss. I think the concern for losing out too much on education is in the senior classes, because they are moving towards board exams, because they are moving towards, the senior classes where they are trying to think about what comes next. The concern and the stress is all about those children. And for them, I definitely feel parents do think that given that we are able to manage the cybersecurity space, given that we're able to manage the digital, etiquette space, and if kids are kind of sensitized sufficiently that they need to behave in classes, and if teachers are able to, so what I've also been noticing, Sumya, is that a lot of schools are splitting their classrooms. So if they have 50 children, they're splitting it into 3 parts, which is amazing. They're taking small batches of the same class and repeating the same class thrice, just to maintain that engagement level that Mr. Rohan was talking about, to keep that entire engagement level, the active interaction experience alive. So I think the parents of senior kids definitely want a lot more input. But having said that, I think the kind of pressure is not going to help. Pressurizing schools and teachers is not going to help. I think now that the ball has just begun to start rolling, I can see a lot of difference in the way schools are approaching it month on month. There is a lot of additive experience being added to the entire learning experience at schools are really learning from each other. There are groups being formed. There's a lot of exchange of information. And what they're really realizing is a one-way passive lecture is not going to help, right? So there are schools which are also streaming some great videos in between the lecture. They're also using some interactive tools. They're also, partnering with tech companies to do interactive quizzes while the classes are going on. There's a lot of all of that play, which I think some schools have started bringing in.
Let me just to ask you a quick question.
Yeah.
The entire dynamics of education has changed in the sense that earlier children thought that, most of at least 95% of their job is done when they put their kid in a good school.
Yeah.
But now the last 2-3 months have changed that entire mix of the education process. Now parental involvement. Now parent is becoming like a second teacher.
Absolutely.
So how are parents coping up with this challenge and how are they viewing this? I want you to, briefly just
Soumya, I have
let us
been
in on that, please.
Yeah. I have been talking about this for the last 1 month, that I think this is the first time that parents are actually able to spend that time analyzing the strengths and areas of improvement of their children. Till now, they used to rely on that 15-minute parent-teacher meeting every quarter, and they would just wait for a lot of parents just wait for that 15-minute feedback, and probably a lot of them didn't put in more time and attention. But this is such a golden opportunity for parents to get involved. And I think a lot of them have embraced that opportunity for trying to understand what their kids are about. One is you just pack them off to school at 7:30, and then the day just used to roll, right? So school used to get over, then there were probably hobby classes, tuition classes, you meet for dinner, and the day is done. And then you really spend probably a Sunday or vacations. But this is probably the first time that parents are spending such long periods of time. They're trying to work on their schedules. They're trying to work and teach them, which parents earlier didn't do. So I think it is a godsend opportunity for kids to be able to spend that time with their parents. Having said that, I think for parents, it has been tough, and it's been like it's just hit them out of the blue. This is not to be judgmental on parents, because there's a lot of comments saying, parents are not even able to handle their own children at home. How did they get into the whole parenting? That's not fair, because parents are also trying to juggle work. If I am sitting here, it is because there is something else engaging my children, which I have had to think about 2 hours in advance, right? So if parents are trying to juggle a lot of things, and I think this is for the first time, also that they have really begun to realize that home as a place of learning cannot be underestimated, right? You think a school is everything. We've kind of, built up schools into these ultimate paradises of learning, which is great because that was the norm. But you cannot underestimate what a home brings to learning. If I'm teaching math, Rohan just spoke about it. Teaching math to a second standard child, teaching multiplication can get so boring if I'm going to give you a lecture on what 2 into 3 is. Take them into the kitchen, spread out all the wares in the kitchen, and you have a live school. Pattern formation, sequences, sorting, reading out recipes, measuring. You bake a cake, you know how many proportions are involved. You get one measurement wrong and your cake is a disaster. So this is such an amazing time to teach children what the home has to offer, get out of the paper and pen rut, and really bring in that 360-degree experiential learning that we've all only spoken about. What a great time to practice all that.
No, I think, Pallavi, you made a good suggestion, but unfortunately not all parents are equipped to offer a supportive home environment. That's a debate entirely.
Yeah, that is a debate for those who can. You don't need, today people were cribbing that Amazon was shut. We don't have learning tools. You don't need learning tools. I'm saying with vessels, with stones, with what's in your, balcony, what's in the garden.
We'll raise that point perhaps in our Q&A. How can parents be involved to a greater extent in this home and school partnership.
Absolutely.
Because it's now, like you said, it's going to be home-based remote learning. We'll
So,
probably
Soumya,
join Rohan
just to
in that.
conclude that point.
Yes, quick. I need to go to Dr. Khannan.
Yeah,
Quickly,
so earlier it was school-led and parent complemented. Now it is school-initiated and parent-led. And that is the whole difference.
Yes, correct. Dr. Girish?
Yes.
Just to draw you in and to go back onto that very excellent points which you raised and dangers of online education. You highlighted the bad and ugly, which is something we really need to address and overcome to make online education a success. If you could enlighten our participants, most of whom are parents and educators, as to how children can be, what safeguards can be used to protect children from online sexual predators, from frauds. How can this be done?
Brilliant. So before I just start this, let me have a small interaction with the audience. All of you who are listening over there, type out on the chat box if you are a principal or a teacher or, just your designation. Are you a parent? Just type out on the chat box quick. I want all of you to type out on the chat box. Are you a principal or a teacher or just yes? Yeah, a really good message. Yeah. Can you just type out on the chat box, please? Chat box. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Teacher, trustee, trustee. Okay. Teacher. So there's a lot of teachers over here. Okay. Teacher and parent. Okay. Teacher and parent. Yes. Teacher. All right. So there's a lot of teachers over here. Okay. So now, I'd like, okay, Mr. Chinnasamy, can you just stop your screen share? I think you've just mistakenly shared it. Mr. Chinnasamy, who you are? Yeah, can you just stop your screen share? Yeah, all right. So, all right. So now I'll just give you up with a small control. The first, I'll divide my talk into two things, okay? One is the parental issues that we need to face on. Yes. The parental issues that we need to face on, and then we will then after that we will talk about the teacher issues and what we are going through. Parent, first and foremost, for all parents over here, I want all teachers over here to please talk to your parents. First is communication. Online is different, offline is different. You need to get your parents on there and first communicate with them. I'll tell you, in one school, 90% of the parents refused to pay the fees. 90% of them refused to pay the fees. So then I came up and I did a parental workshop on online education and the goods and the bads and everything. After that, 80% of them paid the full fees. Now what has happened? Nothing. I didn't do any magic. I just understood their concerns and spoke in their language. Simple. That is, what are the do's, what are the cons, what are the precautions they need to take. So the first step I want you to take is communication. The second thing I want you to take care after you communicate what to your parents, what are the onlines, what are the do's and don'ts, is what you need to do. Number one is have security locks. So today there is YouTube for kids. There is access control, these things. In your settings of every computer or a phone, there is setting lock. So you need to have the parental setting. That means as a teacher, you need to convey to your parents to have parental setting locks set for the children. Now what that is and how it has to be done is depending upon which software you're using. Either you're using or Zoom and all that. Second thing, very, very important, is the cell phone. 70% of the children are using cell phones. Now, please be very careful. Lot of data of yours from your bank account and lot of things are on your cell phone. So please educate the children on what are the things and the do's and don'ts when they are actually on an online class. Set the context for the children, set the context for the parents also. 2, please be very careful when you set the context, give real life case studies. Now, when you tell someone, don't do that, don't do this, the mind's tendency is to do only that. If I tell you, don't think about an elephant, the first thought will come is an elephant in your head. So the same way, when you tell a child, don't do that, don't do this, they want to explore that. So what you need to do is give them case studies. Give them proper case studies of what are the situations, what is happening, and what are the things that they can do as parents to solve those issues. Give them proper case studies. These are the case studies that will help them understand what it is. Very simple. In an all-girls school that I counseled on a webinar, 70% of the girls were on Instagram. They were giving their data free to so many people. After my 1.5 hours webinar on cyberbullying and cyber stalking, 80% of those kids have come out of Instagram. Simple thing. They came out of Instagram. What did I do? Simple. I gave 5 real life case studies of what happened to girls who got bullied on Instagram. See, now children want real life stories, not just advices. Please understand that. The second thing I want to talk is, one is geotagging. There's something called geotagging. That is, the moment the person sees the girl, wherever the girl goes, they will put an Instagram. I'm over here, I'm over there. Now, what will happen? It gives location of yours to people who want to stalk you, who want to see what you're doing and start stalking you. Now, in the lockdown, that has become very easy. Through geotagging, they exactly know what's your address, and the boy comes over there and starts to stalk the girl. So this is very, very important to struck that out. Second, please be careful if you're doing on a laptop. Antiviral software is very, very important for security. Then second, have a software. There are a lot of apps where you can, when the child or somebody downloads the app, it takes a lot of information from you. And who do they target is, they target little children who see on their phones. You know, when they're seeing on their phones, they will say, you're watching this, you like it, click on this and download this app, you will get this. Now the child innocently presses the button. Now the moment the child presses the button, the virus comes in. Either it could be a Trojan or a virus or a horse, and it starts to take away all your data. Suddenly you will find this happened to me personally. I'm telling you, 2 years back, I gave my tab to my daughter. She downloaded a particular game. I don't know, some pinky ponky game. My entire tab had virus. All the software, all the things I did, I had to reformat the entire thing. So please be very careful on what apps you download, because every app has a lot of settings of what are the information they take. And we simply put yes, 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 yes for the want of time, not reading it, so they can take that. So that's something that you need to take. Another very, very important thing, please, if there is one thing you can take out of this whole program, this whole talk, is this one thing, which is digital etiquette. Now, what is a digital etiquette? That means, what are the responsibilities, do's, don'ts of teachers, parents, and students must be very, very clear when you start any online session. Like, say, for example, confidentiality has to be maintained. If you notice any of your cousins or relatives trying to take photos of the phones or the pictures or of the teacher, please inform your parents about it. If you find that there are unnecessary people coming and stalking you, please inform your parents about this. Please build trust with your children, because what is happening now, partial lockdown has happened. Many parents have started going to work, and now the child is sitting alone and they've got the laptop and the cell phone access. Now parents are not there to look at it, so they start to tend to do it. So these are the things that you need to do. Digital etiquette, the do's and don'ts of digital etiquette. And the most important things, please build trust with your children. The moment, even teachers, I'm telling you, please build trust. Moment the child feels that another boy is stalking her in the class or stalking her through private chat, she should be able to tell to the teacher, ma'am, this is happening, and confidentiality should be maintained. So trust is the key essence over here. Another thing I would like to say is all about the digital detox. Now, what is happening today? Just take for a simple online class. 4 hours of online class, 2 hours of watching TV, 2 hours or 3 hours of doing online homework. So 9 hours of online exposure is coming today, where previously the child got only 1 hour to 1.5 hours of online exposure. So please do a digital detox at least on a Saturday or a Sunday, which is a no gadgets day, so that the child will also be able to come down to normal human connections and human interactions. Why I say that is very important is, please understand, these are tough times. And in tough times, the children who used to go out, play, dance, jollia, where they used to be with their friends, are now locked in a 4-wall house with their parents. So they are also getting very frustrated. In fact, in one webinar that I did, we had around 300 children. 180 children openly typed out on the chat box saying they are depressed. I asked them, tell me the number one problem you're facing. All of 180 of them typed out the word depressed. I asked them why. Because they feel suffocated. They feel really suffocated inside a bedroom, and they are having to listen in a small cell phone. They have to look at. So please be empathetic with your children. Teachers, even for you, if couple of children don't come for a class, if they drop out of the class, don't target those children in the online class, because the moment you target them, they feel very left out and they are all alone in their house. So please understand that. Be a little considerate. It could be it could be an internet issue. It could be a digital connection issue. Just be open to that. Another very, very important thing also that I want to tell all of you all is this. Please always know what is your child or daughter or girl using in the online session. That is in your online session. That is, are they using a cell phone? Are they using a laptop? Second question, is it a postpaid connection or a prepaid connection? I'll tell you why. Now, what has happened is there is this whole lot of police officials. I'm part of a lot of colleges and I'm part of a lot of universities. There is this thing called this prepaid cards. Now, this prepaid cards, what happened is you go to a prepaid shop and you give money to recharge. Now, what is happening is there are many prepaid shops which sell the number of the girl to these roadside Romeos and people. I have seen innumerable cases where the moment you go to a prepaid card and recharge, somebody starts calling you and stalking the girl, hacks your system, takes some photographs, then starts threatening and blackmailing. So please be careful. If your children are using prepaid cards, please be very careful and ask them who's the person who's going to recharge these cards. Who's the person who's taking the child out? Please don't. Be very careful. Most likely it should be the father, or you call up personally to the father and say, sir, please don't send your daughter out for recharging. It is not right. Please see to that. This is something that's going under the belly. Every cyber security officer is talking about this particular issue, whoever I interact with. Another thing that I also want you to do is be very careful about what USB devices you're using. Now, what has happened? This happened recently, a big CEO of a company, his daughter was on an online class. They told to download something. And apparently it happened that the teacher sent the link of the download from some site which had a virus in it. So this child pressed that link, the virus got downloaded onto the computer, and the father put his most important USB drive into it. The entire drive got corrupted. Now he's sitting over there and all the data, confidential data of his company has got corrupted. Whole laptop has crashed. So please be careful on what devices, what the children download. Please tell them, like if you're going to send a paper to download, be careful if it's either put it on Google Forms or what is the software, is it safe? Check it double, twice to actually do it. Another thing I'd like also to do is please be aware that there are multiple sections of like section 509 of IPC, section 420. There is a cybercrime government.in website where you can even give a call as in this number. All of you, please note down this number, 155260. Anybody calls this number 155260 between the times of 9 o'clock and 6 o'clock, you can lodge a complaint on somebody who's trying and stalking to you. Now, why is this very important? Please understand, awareness and communication is the key. Please talk to your children about these issues, that if they are facing this, these are the steps that has to be taken. Then they are more likely to come in for those online class and children and parents feel safe. You know why? I'll tell you. One parent told me very beautifully this thing. She said, the same teachers who are who told us don't go online, don't allow children to be online for more than 30 minutes, are the parents telling us go online, go online, go online. So the parents themselves, the parents themselves are telling that. So please create awareness. Second, very important on physical distancing. Now, what is that? 1 feet. Take this. Your hand is there, no? The child's hand. Take the child's hand. The length of that hand should be the distance between the device and the person. Number one. Number two, see that the posture is erect. The posture is erect. Eye and chest up. The eye is looking in this way. Because what is happening? Many of them are attending online class, lying down on the bed, putting the phone up, straining themselves. After a point, what happens? They start getting different issues and they develop aversiveness to online classes. So this is very, very important. Posture is important. Eye contact is important. Spine is also very, very important. Especially you have girls who have periods and all that. They tend to lie down. They start getting sprains. So spine is very important. So these are the physical precautions. Mental precautions, as you said, be very careful. Have a proper digital this thing. And please, for heaven's sake, my simple suggestion to the teachers is, when you have an orientation for the parents, please call credible people for that orientation. Are you getting that? Because if you people itself do the orientation, then the children don't tend to take you seriously. Are you all getting that? So get credible people in that area to talk to the children, make the children understand, talk to the parents about the importance of how it has to be done. Preschool and pre-primary and lower primary, I would suggest please stick it to probably small videos for the parents with online examples and homeworks and things like that. Don't go in for full-fledged 4 hours, 5-hour class, because definitely children also will not sit, parents also will not sit and start doing those exercises. So please see that it is small examples, maybe 20-25 minutes. Now the etiquette for the class, I would suggest 2 things I want you to follow. Number 1, every 15 to 20 minutes, write this down, 15 to 20 minutes, have a small 2-minute break. That is, you get up and ask the child to stretch and ask the child to remove his eye from the object and look somewhere else. Every 15 to 20 minutes. Why? It's very, very important, because when the child is looking at a short sight for a very long time, myopic eye can happen. So what do? That you tell the child to look up at 2-3 different places, so the child feels relaxed and the child sits down also relaxed. Every 20-30 minutes to 40th minute, during that phase, give a small break of 4 to 5 minutes where the child can move around, come across, drink some water, and then again come back to the class. Class of more than 2 hours in a stretch, because it is mentally taxing the child. Are you all getting that clear? For all you know, the child will be into something else while they are doing. Another thing, this is for parents who are, I know many of the teachers have been telling me about children who are going on the wrong side. So there are a couple of things, like one is the team viewer, a screen viewer. There are a couple of specific apps which parents can actually download and keep it. So they can be in the kitchen and they can look at that app and they will know exactly what their child is doing. So if you find that there is something suspicious activity going on, you find your children getting this thing, then you can do that. The symptoms you have to notice in your child, if you're a parent or a teacher, very, very important. Sudden distractibility, sudden withdrawn behavior, sudden not interested, sudden worry. These are symptoms you need to worry that there could be some cyberbullying or something has happened over there. So these are times you seek first to understand. Please, very, very important. When the child tells you something, don't overreact to the child. Listen to the child. Write this down. Listen to the child first. Allow the child to ventilate. Take your time before you overreact about something. Are you all getting that clear? Because teachers, if you overreact to something, then what will happen? The child will next time will not share with you anything. So these are some of the small steps that I would like to say. I hope it was useful for all of you all. Yes? So if you all taken out, I would like you all to type out one thing on the chat box. What's the one major takeaway you have taken from this? Quick, type out on the chat box, quick. One major takeaway that you have taken away from this, the points I have told. I think I've told around close to 38 points. So let's have everybody type out on the chat box, quick. Yes. You're all sensitive teaching. All the words are true. Thank you, Sahana. The information.
Dr. Kannan, let's have other views of the people.
Yeah, sure.
I think now we'll take question and answers.
Yes.
Sumya, you want to first finish with Rohan sir, and then I start.
Yeah, I just want to ask Rohan a question. Rohan, can I draw you in, Rohan? Yeah, if you can unmute yourself, please, Rohan. Yeah, Rohan, I'd like to, both Dr. Girish as well as Pallavi commented on the important role that parents now have to play. And it seems like the responsibility of educating parents, whether it's on digital etiquette or how to handle their children's online education, seems to have now devolved upon schools. So how do you see that happening, and how do you see educators and schools taking a lead role in educating parents on how to take this journey of online education world forward?
I completely agree that this is something that has to do with communication. The communication to the parents have to be very, very clear. If they are not, the school has to make them understand a few things. One is that this is not a norm. This is a temporary norm. They have to be para-educators. If they have to hold the hands of the child, because they are the ones who are there with the child. They have to understand that the teachers are also new to this. They cannot get frustrated with the teacher in the beginning for a few days. It is going to take time. So the school has to be very clear with the parents that this is also a learning experience to the school and to the teachers, and they require to be patient. And if they understand that, and you have to see how you can reduce the load on the parents. Now, if there are many schools that, because this issue is there, that like in our school, we have told them, see, you need not be on the online class all the time. If your child is getting fatigued, please shut it down. What am I going to do for that? How do I ensure that your child is not losing this? For our school, we have made whatever is being taught through PPTs, which is in a form which is also recorded with the teacher's voice. It is a 10-minute thing. So what Dr. Kanan was talking about, that the time length is very important. If I send a 1 hour recording or half an hour, 2 hours, I suppose the 2 hours school was there or 3 hours school was there, I send a 3 hour recording to the parent, he doesn't have the time. After, even if I say don't do it now, do it later on in the evening, or when he has a laptop, you do it, don't do it when on the mobile. The child, when the parent comes home tired, what do? 3 hours more of work with the child, not going to work. So what we have done is everything is broken down into 10-minute modules. So this 10-minute modules has the same explanation with the teacher's voiceover, but without any disturbance. There is no questioning, there is no disturbance, nobody put on your computer, put off your this, put off that, nothing is there. So whatever the teacher is teaching in 20-25 minutes has been broken down into 10-minute slot. So that 10 minutes is what the parent requires. So lower classes, we are told, it is not a compulsion. Don't think that your child has to be there for the online class. If the child is interested, well and good. If he has got a laptop, well and good during the daytime. You are available, you are not available, grandmother cannot do, grandfather cannot do, no issues. The basic idea of online teaching should be clear, that some kind of learning goes on. It is not the same kind of learning which goes on in the school. So that is what we have to communicate clearly to the parents, that as soon as that class is over, the video of that module of 10 minutes is posted. Now when the class was going on, there was audio problem, there was a video problem, there was a link problem. What the teacher says, go to this 10-minute module, go through it once again. That whole revision is over, because exactly the same PPT which was used by the teacher while teaching is there with the teacher's explanation for that PPT. So you have to come out with such kind of innovative things. I think many schools are doing that, but many may not be doing it. So if it is not being done, these are innovative ways of that. Then the parent can take over. Then the parent is not handicapped that I have to sit with my child. Okay, the child is set, let alone you are cooking, you are busy, you are doing that. Do your work, no problem. Let the child listen, whatever he gets, well and good. Whatever he doesn't get, yes, 10 minutes at the end of the day. That's all. And you realize, if my child, this is an important thing for my child, let me do this. And that's all, over. So that is the thing, like we can ease the, like sending the worksheets. You send a worksheet online and then you make them do online. Again, you are adding to. So you ensure that the worksheets reach the child, so that the child can do that offline. So you carry on that work offline later on. So these are some of the small things that you can do to help the parents. And if that is done, they will automatically hold their hands and they will work. I feel that that is the way it has to be, because parents cannot be burdened. They have their own issues, as Dr. Kanan was telling. It is an issue. Dr. Pallavi is also speaking about the same thing, that parents are having their own issues. You cannot burden them completely. They can only help a little. You have to take, but you have to think of innovative ways of keeping that engaged. That's my take on it.
All right. Thanks, Rohan. Bhavin?
Yeah, so sir,
if you can take
so anyway, there are, we will keep it for another 5-7 minutes, and we'll just overshoot and close it at 5:15. But continuing with Rohan sir's opinion, I have a question. Sir, during the lockdown, everything is digitally pushed, and parents and kids are, in all the ways that we have described, they are doing it. What's the new normal looking like when you start the school? is this hybrid going to continue? And are there, like we have, every school has almanac, do you think that there is going to be a digital almanac which is also going to be prepared so that the rules and regulations are done? So two questions. Then in the normal scenario, once we are back in the school, is this hybrid going to be still there and schools are going to push for that? And if they are going to push for that, how you are going to create the environment?
What I have what we have discussed in our core team is that we are looking long term. To at least, as Dr. Pallavi and both Dr. Kanan both agreed, that this is not going to go away in July. School, August, June, May, maybe schools will start. Again, Dr. Pallavi told the same thing, that parents will not send their children. So there will be some parents who would want to experiment, who will want to say, okay, let's try, let's not be scared. There will be some parents who will have their own opinion. So what I am looking at, then there are talks about having half day, 1 day, half day school and half day this, and maybe calling 1 day, alternate day, 2 hours. Now, in that scenario, we will have to cut down the syllabus drastically, because we will never be able to complete it. So what we are thinking at Children's Academy is that look at it till maybe September and October minimum. Online classes would remain for the middle school at least. The 10th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th may be called to school alternate days, spread over, and but again, online education is, or learning is not going to stop. That is going to be there. But what we can do is, yes, we can start pushing them slowly, bringing them back to the norm in a very small way by calling them in small groups. Then what do we do there? There we do the catch up of what we have already done. So that is how we are looking at it. That it cannot be that I teach here also, I teach there also. It is not going to happen. How many times do I teach? So online education will go on. Children will start coming to school. Children will start writing in the school, doing all the things that they were not doing. Some days they will start doing this in the school. And that is how the hybrid variety is going to go on in between till we become completely the normal face-to-face school. That is how I look at things.
Okay, Pallavi, the question here comes in, how are the expectations going to be managed by parents? Because they have seen the lockdown situation where probably many parents' views are coming in saying it's not that useful. They have tremendous challenges. Correct? Now, when we move from lockdown to hybrid way, or as Rohan sir was saying some things are going to be pushed, some things are not going to. Do you still feel there is going to be the return on investment calculation? Do you still feel parents are going to think saying, okay, this is not for what I had signed up for the school? How do you see the parent reaction coming in there?
See, frankly, every time there is a change, there is going to be a knee-jerk reaction. Right? We have seen it since the lockdown has happened. The moment the schools, colleges closed, parents immediately had a reaction on the fees. The moment online started, immediately there was a reaction. So these reactions will come. But as the educator people in the forefront of disseminating this education, we will need to take a very balanced view of these knee-jerk reactions. What is the government's way? How, even a little bit about how the other countries are getting into it slowly, because we are about 3 months behind everybody, a few countries, right, in terms of the learning curve, which has already occurred. So we keep a track of that. So I don't think reactions will not come. They will be there. But what is actually happening is there have been changes every month, right? So there's not been like a 6-month time when there has not been a change. So I think parents will also start realizing that as a community of us as parents, we have to be comfortable with this ambiguity, comfortable with not knowing exactly how it will go, but we make those incremental steps in keeping the online process of learning alive. I think what Rohan made a point is great. like we are following in our businesses. This is not the year for us to say we are going to get that 30% hike in our bottom lines. This is not the year to make those drastic changes. This is a maintenance year. Same for students and parents, right? We need to treat this year as we keep the education level, learning etiquette on. We keep that engagement level on. It might not be what we wanted, but we try and not let it drop. And I think if we see through this academic year like that, there will be a comfort level. Let's not set unrealistic expectations out of our children, out of ourselves, out of our teachers. Let's just do the minimum required and then augment it at home. As parents, my urge to all parents listening and to teachers who interact with parents as well, we need to augment it with other activities which we couldn't do in normal days. How many books are our children reading every day? Are they skimming through newspapers properly? Are puzzles being done? Are constructive, other activities being done? If all of that happens, that is also learning. Let's not underestimate the value that has.
That's a good point. Last question, and I think so. I'll just give it to first Rohan sir and then Dr. Girish. Sir, there is lot of pressure on this high school where parents and students are feeling the burn, saying what is going to happen for my evaluation on the 10th and the 12th. Obviously, because these are all year oriented. If you miss a year, someone who's really preparing for IIT, someone who's really aspiring for various competitive tests, they are really having a mental stress that how school or how tutorials are going to help me. So largely, what's the view? Everyone who's asking me and over here, what is saying, let's be a zero academic year. We'll again cope up in the next year. Particularly for an educator or for the teacher, where the emphasis was largely to prepare for these board years, what would be your take and how would you cope up for teaching learning pattern for particularly this critical years?
I really feel that this is where the NCERT will have to come in, because this is not a year when we can have the entire syllabus burdened on these children. It has to be brought down. And I am hoping that we have written letters to the councils and this telling that please come out with this quickly, because I don't want to be wasting 1 month and then at the end of the year you tell me, okay, this portion is now deleted. So that cannot happen. You have to come out, you have to be super quick now. Tell us exactly what we can keep and what we should not keep. And if that is brought down to a certain level, and by God's grace, by November, December also, we are able to get schools into a normal mode, then I feel that children will be able to cope up. And as I said, the normal education goes on and we have a hybrid in between, where this writing practices, which is basically what examinations are all about, if we are able to give them that during this, that's why I said 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th will have to take a call to come to school, so that they can start with that work, not the teaching work. Teaching work will go on happening through the online thing. But this is the work which is going to be very crucial for them. So we keep that on and we come down a little bit, and because I am not a very good, proponent of granting marks, because it is marks ultimately.
Inflation,
not knowledge.
Inflation.
It is not knowledge. Okay? So we have to decide where we want to cut down, what is expendable, and expend those things, and let the child concentrate on a few things, test him on that, grant him marks on that. And I always keep telling that if you have not learned maybe the cos and the sine thetas in 9th standard, it is not that you will never become an engineer. If you have forgotten, you have not done your a chapter of biology somewhere, it won't stop you or hamper you from becoming a doctor. So these are things that can be taken in the stride. So what is important? Keep that, cut down, let these children be relaxed, whatever is able to do, and based on that, we have your examination. That's my thing.
Yeah, no, that's a valid one, where every one of us will unite together, right to the ministry, right to NCERT, and I think so unanimously we understand that the 21
has also already come out a little, but
NCERT. If you see today's news, NCERT has already started the work, Bhavin, on reduction of syllabus.
Yeah, they
They're
have
going to
started.
be out very shortly.
Not
They
yet come out
started work
completely.
on it.
That's what I'm telling.
Yeah. Dr. Girish, your final master stroke on the psychology management for this grade, because all parents are also worried that what is going to be the impact where kid internally who is really aspiring for doing best in their exams and where the evaluation is only graded as marks. What is your final take on it? And then
See, there are a lot of takes. I have two caps right now over here. One cap I will put as a medical doctor, and one cap I will put as a psychiatrist handling children. As a medical doctor, yes, definitely this corona is going to go on for a very long period of time. In fact, before yesterday, the 10th standard exams were cancelled in Tamil Nadu, my state. And the Attorney General who represented the Tamil Nadu government openly in court, he said the peak of the corona curve is going to happen only in November. Now, if it happens in November, you're looking at a disruption of almost till January, And what is going to happen is now I'm seeing this happening in my state and of course in Maharashtra, many states. Certain clusters are very, very badly affected and certain clusters are opening up. So certain children in those clusters might be able to go to school faster and get the benefit as compared to certain, because CBSE is uniform in many places. So even if you now cut down portions, there's going to be an inequality that is going to come everywhere. Like say, for example, government's children don't have the access to technology. That is one of the PIL that is being filed in the Supreme Court, that the government children are going to be at a very, very lesser level as compared to the private if you are going to cut short the year. I think my take on this, now I'll go to the psychiatry wing. Three things I used to tell. I used to tell children three things. One is self-motivation, self-discipline, and self-monitoring. These are the three S's I think children have to follow during these crisis times. That is, I need to motivate myself. I need to keep monitoring what I'm doing, and I need to be disciplined and focused and be aware about what is happening and what is not happening. Second, don't get disappointed. Now, you would have studied something very well for so many years, especially people who go into coaching classes. 4 years I studied. Now they're suddenly told this thing is not there. Immediately, the depression you go in through will start affecting even the ones that you already know. So please don't get upset. Yes, change is the new normal. What you really need to do is start focusing on what is available right now. Read thoroughly what is available in whatever format. There will be a lot of distractions right now considering you're in the lockdown. So I want all of these children to remember that, yes, you need to be focused. You need to put a timetable, stick to the timetable, be in communication, be it with your parents or teachers or anyone, and always stick to the norm. My hope, I definitely recommend Rohan sir also to write about this. My hope to all educators is, I'm also writing to the HRD ministry about it, is that why don't we have the academic year itself from September, October to next year, August, just push everything by 4 months. And then over a period of time, we can bring it back within 3-4 years back to normal. So that way, at least everybody will get the same amount of classroom classes and online management, and there won't be this unevenness, because you just think and see. If you start in September, we just have 5 months before board exam. And there's going to be a whole group of children who are going to start from scratch 5 months. What has to be done over 10 months is now going to be done in 5 months. That's an unnecessary disadvantage for all these children. So my take on that will be, try and best to postpone it and try to get as many days as possible. But at the end of the day, children need to be self-motivated, self-disciplined, and also need to self-monitor.
No, so I guess it's a valid point where all the points have to be put together and wait it out how it's going to be equitable to all the stakeholders, and we should appeal to the authorities accordingly. Okay, thank you very much. And finally, I'm going to hand it over to the fourth S, that is Sumya, and she's going to close this session.
Thanks, Bhavin. I think we've had a great and very interesting discussion. Some very valid points have been raised, of course, by Dr. Girish on ensuring how parents can ensure and need to build in safeguards, because this whole online environment is actually a new animal in the park. I mean, parents, teachers, educators need to know how to navigate this. And the best way to do it is, like I think like both Rohan and Pallavi said, is through increased communication between home and the school. The teachers and the parents need to communicate more and create greater awareness, whether it's through hand-holding children at home to start a new phase of home-based learning, and from the point of educators, also how they can engage children better. This is not going to go away in a hurry. Online education has now become an imperative. It's going to stay. And like Rohan said, after even 2-3 months after schools reopen in a staggered way, we're going to perhaps evolve to a hybrid blended learning model for another 2-3 months. So this has to be a combined effort on the part of parents, schools, and educators to navigate this. But most importantly, to come back to what Dr. Girish said, I think during this very, very, very keep the focus on children's emotional and mental well-being. Yes, children will learn their academics. Yes, they will go up the learning curve only if their emotional and mental well-being is maintained. We need to focus on that. And I think to a large extent, teachers, parents, schools, everyone are agreed on keeping children happy and learning. Thank you so much, Dr. Girish.
Thank you.
For giving us this opportunity to discuss this very important issue. Thank you. Dr. Pallavi, thank you for your great insightful observations. And Rohan, thank you. You've given some excellent perspectives and enriched this panel discussion. Thank you, Bhavan, for moderating the Q&A excellently.
You, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, and thank you to all our attendees. Those who could not be let into our Zoom panel, please go on EW portal at EW portal. The entire session has been telecast live on Facebook and will be available later on for any of you all to view. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you,
Bye.
Sonia. Thank you, Bhavan. Thank you, Rohan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rohan. Thank you, Girish. Bye.
Bye.